Jedis from all around the world. How are you guys doing out there? Happy Monday. It is a beautiful evening here in Southern California. I hope you guys had a beautiful day. I am on time, so excited. And we have quite some bit to talk about today, guys. An unfortunate turn of event took place a few days ago in Israel. I'm sure you guys heard what happened in Israel. So we're going to start with that, and then we're going to go deeper into other things. So with that have said, I also want to acknowledge each and every single one of you guys that is on here. Thank you so much for being here on a Friday night. And let's start with some of these articles that the deep state obviously is behind what happened in Israel. And so we're going to go ahead and read some of these articles that are going to give us a little bit more information as to, the funding that took place between the corrupt Brandon administration the day prior to the bombing in Israel. So it is believed that they did finance $90 billion, I believe, or $90 million to the people that bombed Israel. So with that have said, let's read some of the facts that, one second here. All right, so is the Israeli-Palestine conflict global conflict tracker. Let's read what's happening and let's get to the bottom of this. So in early October 2023, war broke out between Israel and Hamas, the militant Islamic group that has controlled Gaza since 2006. Hamas fighters fired rockets into Israel and stormed southern Israeli cities and towns across the border of the Gaza Strip, killing and injuring hundreds of soldiers and civilians and taking dozens of hostages. The attack took Israel by surprise, though the state quickly mounted a deadly retaliatory operation. One day after the October 7 attack, the Israeli cabinet formally declared war against Hamas, followed by a directive from the defense minister to the Israeli Defense Force to carry out a complete siege of Gaza. Background. Okay, so this is the information that the Mockingbird fake news does not want us to know. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict dates back to the end of the 19th century. In 1947, the United Nations adopted Resolution 181, known as the Partition Plan, which sought to divide the British Mandate of Palestine into Arab and Jewish states. On May 14, 1948, the State of Israel was created, sparkling the first Arab-Israeli war. So I don't know if you guys know much about this history, but in The Secret Government, in my first book, I did talk about how it was the Rothschilds that established the State of Israel back in the 1940s. So what's happening now, it's no other than, the intelligences of the deep state working their tentacles from behind the scenes, right? Trying to start a third world war. But it's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. Over the following years, tensions rose in the region, particularly between Israel and Egypt, Jordan and Syria, following the 1956 Suez Crisis and Israel's invasion of the Sinai Peninsula. Egypt, Jordan, and Syria signed mutual defense pacts in anticipation of a possible mobilization of Israeli troops. In June 1967, following a series of maneuvers by Egyptian President Abdel Gamal Nazar, Israeli preemptively attacked Egyptian and Syrian air forces, starting the Six-Day War. After the war, Israel gained territorial control over the Sinai Peninsula in Gaza, stripped from Egypt, the West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan, and the Golan Heights from Syria. 6 years later, in what is referred to as the Yom Kippur War on the October War, Egypt and Syria launched a surprise two-front attack on Israel to regain their lost territory. The conflict did not result in significant gains for Egypt, Israel, or Syria, but Egyptian President Anwar al-Sadat declared the war a victory for Egypt as it allowed Egypt and Syria to negotiate over previously ceded territory. Finally, in 1979, following a series of ceasefire and peace negotiations, representatives from Egypt and Israel signed the Camp David Accords, a peace treaty that ended the 30-year conflict between Egypt and Israel. So, as you guys know by now, we all know that the deep state is the orchestrators of all of these conflicts, right? And the financiers. All right, so let's read another article, because this is interesting. This one's called What to Know as Conflict Erupts Between Hamas and Israel After Deadly Attacks, Retaliation. All right, so the militant Hamas rulers of the Gaza Strip have carried out an unprecedented multi-front attack on Israel, firing thousands of rockets as dozens of Hamas fighters infiltrated the heavily fortified border in several locations and catching the country off guard on a major holiday. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared Israel was at war and called for a mass mobilization of army reserves. The invasion revived memories of the 1973 war, practically 50 years to the day. Here's what happened on Saturday. Death toll rises to at least 482 in Israel and Gaza. Israeli media, citing rescue service officials, said at least 250 people were killed and about 1,500 wounded, making Saturday's surprise early morning attack by Hamas the deadliest attack in Israel's in decades. At least 232 people in the Gaza Strip have been killed and at least 1,700 wounded in Israel strikes, the Palestinian Health Ministry said. War grips Israel, Gaza after surprise Hamas attack and Israeli retaliation. Hamas fighters took an unknown number of civilians and soldiers captive into Gaza, a deeply sensitive issue for Israel. In harrowing scenes posted on social media videos, the Israeli military did not say how many hostages were seized, but their capture marks a major escalation in the fighting. The military confirmed Hamas claims that its fighters had kidnapped a number of Israelis after infiltrating Israelis' highly fortified separation fence and storming into Israel's communities in the country's south. The army did not offer further details on Saturday. Social media has been filled with videos showing Hamas fighters dragging lifeless Israeli soldiers on the ground and paradigm-captured civilians through the streets of Gaza. All right, so the whole point is this, guys. What they failed to tell us is that the Brandon administration, the night before this event that took place Saturday, completely financed, the military, the people that launched the attack on Israel. So now they're playing both sides of the war. Okay, so not only are they financing, or they have been financing Israel, but they're also financing the Palestinians, and in this case, the people, the military that is, bombing Israel. So it's all being financed by the same people, the deep state. This is a tactical methodology that the deep state has always employed throughout all of history. All right, they financed both sides of the First and Second World War, the Crimean War, all the wars that have ever happened, the war that took place in Cambodia, the war that took place in Vietnam. I mean, every war that has ever happened were financed by the deep state. Both parties have been financed by the deep state. And that's how they profit. Okay, so the last article here, one second. Israel's defense minister's orders complete siege of Gaza as Hamas threatens hostages. All right, so let me see. Jerusalem and Gaza. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Monday that the Israeli military would attack Hamas with a force like never before, as the military group threatened to kill civilian hostages if airstrikes target Gaza without warning. Following Hamas' devastating surprise attack in Israel territory over the weekend, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant on Monday also ordered a complete siege of Gaza and said he would halt the supply of electricity, food, water, and the fuel to the Palestinian enclave. I have given an order. Gaza will be under complete siege, the minister said. We are fighting barbarians and will respond accordingly. Israel has been pounding what it describes as strategic Hamas locations in Gaza with airstrikes since the Hamas attack. Hours later, a spokesperson for Hamas, Armed Wing, said it would be like killing civilian hostages and broadcasting the act if Israel targets people at Gaza without warning. We declare that we will respond to any targeting of our people who are safe in their homes without warning, with the execution of our civilian hostages, and we will broadcast it with audio and video, Abu Abadai said in a statement on the Al-Qassam Brigade's Telegram channel. All right, so I guess this is a pretty long article. So the whole point is that because the deep state is so desperate to, foment and orchestrate the Third World War, this came as a surprise. All right. But again, guys, it's not going to ignite. It's not going to escalate. I guarantee you that this situation that is taking place between the Israel and Hamas is going to eventually de-escalate, and it's not going to lead to anything major. Okay, guys. However, I do admit that having Brandon in the house, right? I don't want to say it. I don't want to get penalized. But having Brandon in a position of power is definitely making things worse. So my belief is, if Trump becomes a Secretary of State, or even better, all right, if Brandon gets charged for treason, all right, because there are many, there are many incriminating documents, all right, that have been seen by, again, Congress. So if that goes through and Brandon gets charged with treason, right, and we see a replacement, we see Trump coming back to the White House, you realize that Mr. T is going to completely negotiate a peace deal between the Russians and the Ukraine, which means that if it all goes according to plan, to plan by the White Hats, Mr. T will get a Nobel Peace Prize and will be recognized as a leading figure in world peace, okay? Because Mr. T has said it on several of his rallies that the first thing he's going to do when he comes back into power is that he's going to ease the situation. He's going to, completely bring about peace to what's happening in Europe. So that is a very good thing, okay? Now, another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the fact that, history has been erased by the winners, and you guys know that, okay? Now, my question is, how many times have these elites restarted history? All right, that is my question. And according to my research, guys, they have resetted history and started everything over and over, or at least that's what they wanted us to believe, many, many times, okay? The most recent was probably in 1901, okay? So what if prior to 1901, right? What if Tartaria was the civilization that existed in our planet, in our world, over 100 years ago? And what if the elites completely eradicated all memories relating to the advanced civilization of Tartaria, who was already using Tesla technology? And think about it, all right? The Romanovs of Russia, before the First World War, they were all about Tesla technology and free energy devices, all right? And of course, we know that it was the deep state, right? The international bankers from New York that hired people like the Bolsheviks to what? To overrun the Romanovs of Russia. See, the Romanovs were actually the good guys, all right? The Romanovs were actually the good guys who created some sort of an advanced civilization, not an advanced, I'm sorry, who created a peaceful, flourishing civilization where everybody had everything in an abundance because they weren't paying for resources. They were using free energy technology. And I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of Nikola Tesla's technology was already implemented during the Romanov period before they were overthrown by the Bolsheviks, by Stalin, Lenin, and of course, Trotsky, which were all what? Educated and molded by the House of Rothschild. Okay, guys? And a lot of this stuff I do cover in my first book, The Secret Government. How they completely, in 1901, completely decided to implement the, what we call today communism. Communism, fascism, totalitarianism. It's all run by them, guys, okay? It's all run by the deep state. So, my question again is, how many times have the elites restarted history, or at least wanted us to believe that everything started again according to what they said? Okay, so let's just assume for a minute here that everything we've ever been taught is wrong, okay? Because when you think about it, guys, let's go back to the Dark Ages, okay? Supposedly there was no education, no science, no medicine that existed during medieval Europe, all right? For 13,000 years, our world experienced the most darkest periods where there was no literature, no education, no science, no progress. It was like everything in society was stagnant. And this was during a time that our world was absolutely controlled by the Roman litigate, right? The Catholic Church. So what if the entire, I'm sorry to say this, the entire history books and the Bible were restructured by the Council of Nicaea in the 4th century AD to rewrite history again, beginning with the Dark Ages, to make it seem like we've been progressing from a primitive state to a progressive state. All right? Again, that doesn't go well with me. I think that, that was another attempt by the Roman Catholic Church to make us believe that, again, we've only been around for a couple thousand years. But even more so, guys, let's go back to 3600 BC, around the time that the Gregorian, or what we call the, conventional calendar was installed. Around 3600 BC, supposedly there was, the beginning of civilization on this planet, all right, from a primitive state, all right? They call it the Neolithic era. So how is it that from 36,000 BC, we went from the Stone Age, from Neolithic primitive cultures living in caves, to all of a sudden having flourishing cities with irrigation and civilization? It just makes no sense, okay? So that was another attempt, all right? So that means that our calendar is inaccurate. It's incorrect, all right? It's all part of their agenda to make us believe that, again, everything on this planet or history began in 3600 BC. All right, but even more so, let's go back to 6000 BC, a time that was during the a time that corresponded to the Great Flood. Now, according to many accounts, the flood that took place in 6000 BC was a universal event that was recorded by every ancient culture. Okay? Now, what if the flood was another attempt to restart history? All right? Because we do know that based on new, archaeological evidence that has been dug out, that civilizations have been here for millions and millions of years, all right? Predating Atlantis. So again, what if after the flood that happened 6,000 years ago, the powers that were, because, that's what they are, the powers that were, their time is up. What if they tried to reset history again? In other words, guys, our reality construct has been inserted many of times over and over and over, to the point that I am starting to question everything. Everything, guys. Everything is a lie. All right? Everything. The Paleolithic era that led to the Mesolithic era, the Neolithic era. It's not a progressive state of evolution from simple cavemen to complex, you know, civilizations. It's the other way around, guys. According to the new evidence, guys, civilizations have been here for millions of years, and in fact, these ancient civilizations were by far more advanced than our current, civilized society, or our current contemporary structure society. Okay, and that is a proven fact. So I guess where I'm going is, what if this is just a proposition? What if Earth, existing in all these different realities, right, as the planet that was the first to give human life forms, right, corresponding to the eighth dimensional Earth and Lyra, right, where the humans were first seeded in our universe. What if all civilizations in our universe, regardless of how advanced they are, what if they all originated from this planet? What if the concept of breakaway civilizations go beyond the current breakaway civilizations that developed within the last 80 years, beginning with Nazi Germany? What if civilizations, breakaway groups have always existed? What if this Earth has always been the original planet in which every advanced civilization across the universe broke away from? I'm starting to think that this is the case, guys. I'm starting to think that even the Pleiadians, which are future version of us, right? They're future versions of humans on Earth. Even the Andromedans, the Arcturians, the Orions, the Sirians, Alpha Centaurians, Procyons, whatever, the list goes on. What if all those advanced civilizations broke away from this planet? If civilizations have existed here for millions of years, right? 560 million years ago, right? The Terranusian race, that would make perfect sense. That would make perfect sense. So that makes a lot of sense to me as to why now they're all coming back, including, the negative ones, the ones that have digressed from the original organic timelines, right? You know how many people believe that these digressive civilizations that have digressed are just, you could say, mutated versions of humans, of different timelines that are coming from the future back into our present to correct their timeline? What if all civilizations across our universe originated on this planet and they are all breakaway groups? That makes a lot of sense. Anyways, I just wanted to start off this live with this concept because the more I do research, guys, the more I ponder things, the more I'm starting to understand that this Earth was the germinating seed of all civilizations across the entire multiverse. I mean, across our entire universe. Not the multiverse, of course, but the universe. Of course, there are different versions of our universe. But I'm starting to think that that is the case. Now, let me get the mouse here so that I could answer some questions. Thank you for being here, guys. Find the little cursor, 1 second. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm trying to find the little arrow here. Oh, there we go. All right, so let's read. Let's read some of the questions. All right, so I'm going to start with Dr. Ra Vemula. Thank you, Dr. Ra Vemula, for the donation. Your question is, you may gain many 5D power, travel to many galaxies, become an expert in cosmic knowledge, reach immortality, but it's critical to have utmost devotion to God, unconditional love to all life, and infinite bliss in your heart. 100%, doctor. 100%. I completely agree with that. You are so correct. All right, so we also have a super chat from American NDN. Oh, no question. Thank you for the donation, though. Appreciate that, sister. I like your little cartoon character doing a dance. All right, so I'm going to first answer the super chats, guys, and then I'm going to read random questions. Yes, guys, please don't forget to smash that like button. It really helps out a lot. Thank you, thank you. You guys are the best. The Galactic Jedis are in the house. All right, so I think I'm done with the super chats. Oh, Lynn P. Thank you so much for the donation and for the flying cartoon character, which reminds me of Superman. All right, so I think that's it for the super chats. Okay, so let's go back to the top and just answer random questions. Let's see. What kind of questions do the Galactic Jedis have in store today? All right, so we do have a question on the super chat from Ravenclaw. How you doing, Raven? Thank you for being here, and I appreciate your donation. If Jesus, the Son of God, that is Christians pray through. Let me see if I understand your question. Is Jesus the Son of God that is Christians pray to through? Yes. Yes, that religious organization, they pray to Jesus. Exactly. You know, they see it as the only way to God the Father. But again, that was mistranslated by his followers, and of course later by the Council of Nicaea, that was controlled by the Babylonian Roman Empire. I heard the elite are called, okay, this is from Joshua Keith. Thank you so much for the donation. I heard the elites are called blue bloods because they have a higher percentage of reptilian DNA, which is copper based, which turns blue when oxidized. All right, so that's not necessarily correct, Keith, because we also have copper based RH, because RH negative blood types are also copper based. They don't have the iron blood. And a lot of the descendants of the guardians, right, of the watchers of the positive Anunnaki, that a lot of them are people like you and me who are RH negative. We don't have reptilian genetics, guys. So there are two categories of RH negative blood type. You have the reptilians and you have the Lyran, Syrian Anuhasis. And those are the ones that come from the realm of the archangelics or the realm of the angels. So even those that have a high concentration of angelic DNA, you are Rh negative because it's off-world, okay? Yes, you're right, Ishmael, says Caroline Varcheldon. Yes, you're right, Ishmael. The Bible is total misinformed and all the history books also. It feels in my stomach bad feeling. Guys, at this point, we have to question everything because even the Bible is a condensed version of, again, the ancient Sumerian tablets, who in turn were translated by Sakurai Sitchin, and of course they were inverted by Marduk, Belial, Baal, Amun-Ra, whatever you want to call them. And going back on the subject of how many times they try to restart history, right? Telling us that the world began 6,000 years ago, blah, 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 which is all baloney. What do you think the Great Reset is? Exactly, guys. The Great Reset, according to their agenda, they want to restart, they want to rechange history and refabricate everything that's going to fit their current paradigm in this great reset, all right? What they call Agenda 2045 or Agenda 2030. It is no different, guys. But, you know, this time it's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. Because people are waking up. People are waking up. Thank God. That's what's happening. You know, as more people break away from that accepted collective construct, which is a holographic insert, that's all it is, guys. It's a holographic insert that is placing a veil between what was real before we fell from consciousness and what is not real. So this world, this illusion, this matrix is coming to a collapse when enough people wake up, and as a collective, we shatter the paradigm. It's coming to an end very soon, and they know they lost. I keep losing my little cursor. 1 second, guys. Bear with me. My mouse doesn't like me very much. Oh, come on. Where's the little arrow? Oh, there it is. Oh, no, I lost it. Oh, I found it. Okay. All right, so... All right, so Trenton Williams, thank you so much for the donation, brother. And your question is, do you know where the werewolf-like creatures they call dogmen came from? Is it an extraterrestrial like Sasquatch, or was it made by either our military government or perhaps made by other extraterrestrials? All right, do you guys want to know the truth about the genetic experiments that created hideous things? They actually began in Atlantis with Enki, the master geneticist. And they continued through an interplanetary organization that is involved with the breakaway groups known as... You guys ready for this? And you guys could do your own research. They are known as, what are they called? I lost the name, Morbius. They're called Morbius. It's an ancient planetary organization that was involved in the creation of these half-man, half-wolves, whatever you want to call it. But yes, werewolves are real, okay? The ones that exist on our planet were actually genetically made by Enki and his minions, all right? Unlike the Sasquatch are also known as the Yeti, that come from another solar system. So they are a spacefaring society. Very intelligent people. The Yeti, the Sasquatch, a lot of them are also living in the inner earth. And they are actually here assisting us with our ascension. All right, so Cosmic Goddess has a question. Thank you so much for the donation, sister. Greetings, Ismael. Do you think after the ascension, we will ever have to go through the Dark Ages ever again, since history always seems to repeat itself? No, and let me tell you why. Okay, so this great cycle, known as the Platonic year, or the 26,000-year cycle, has actually repeated itself 5,200 times, which is the equivalent of our solar system with Alcyon in Sirius B going around the galactic core in a revolution of 226 million years. So because we've already completed that greater cycle, this Earth is now on a steady upward spiral into higher dimensions beyond the fifth. So no, this is it, guys. It'll never go back into a dark age again. To answer your question, Cosmo Girl. All right, so MSMITY 555, thank you for the donation. Thank you. I've heard that the white hats, gray hats, are dragging their feet and that the galactics have considered intervening in the Earth plan. Your opinion? Your opinions? Okay. On one version of the Earth, yes. The white hats are already infiltrated by the AI system, which, by the way, the AI system that we are currently developing is connected via time travel to the AI system that destroyed Atlantis, and even further beyond that, the AI system that destroyed the Martian colony. all right, which goes back to millions of years. Guys, we're dealing with an ancient AI here. So to answer your question is yes, the Earth Alliance, the Guardian races, the benevolent galactics are intervening because of the fact that on that particular version of the Earth, the Y-hats have been compromised, okay? But in our particular version, known as the alpha version, right? There's the beta version, the delta, the omega, whatever. On our particular version, the Y-hats have not been compromised, all right? And the Y-hats are actually winning, and they have won the war. So depending on which alternative reality you're in, that's a great question, sister. All right, so I think I'm done with the super chat, so I'm going to go ahead and just read random questions. So yes, guys, werewolves are real, vampires are real. People don't just make this up and, you know, create films out of this and write books about this. It already exists. It already exists. And yes, the current werewolves that are existing on our planet are genetic experiments that were conducted by the Ijiji, or the fallen Anunnaki, which were led by Enki. Remember, guys, Enki was the master geneticist, which reminds me of the character in Guardians of the Galaxy, the High Evolutionary, right? Who is building worlds, you know, enhancing genetics, but yet really just creating slave races. That's exactly what Enki's been doing in our sector of the universe. Okay, so here's, okay, so Leela Hutchinson, or Hutchins, sorry to mispronounce your last name. Leela Hutchins, how you doing, sister? Thank you for the number 1 and for the donation. Do Lucifer and Enki integrate with their brothers, Michael and Enlil, after the final battle? That's a very good question. Okay, so yes, everything in the universe calls for duality to collapse back to neutrality. So in that regard, yes, Lucifer, who is represented, or Enki, who is represented by Lucifer on a 5th dimensional level of reality, and Enlil, who is represented by Michael on our 5th dimensional level of reality, eventually integrate at the end of the millennium. Of course, we are going to have one final war after 1,000 years. But why do we have to wait for 1,000 years? I knew that was coming. Because of the fact that the timelines that are going to split when the bifurcation takes place, which is any day now, are going to re-emerge back at the end of the millennium. That's the reason why we have to wait 1,000 years. But not to mention, it also gives us 1,000 years to live in harmony, peace, and freedom, and not have any, you know, any hardships, any, you know, corruption. And it also gives us the opportunity to use more than just, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40% of our full genetic material. Some of us are going to be able to reach 100% of our full genetic power, which means we're going to be unstoppable. And then the third part of your question is, can we make it happen sooner? All right, so what if I tell you that the battle in the future has already been won by us because of the fact that all time is happening all at once? So from a higher level of reality, it's all happening at once, and we've already won that war. It's just a matter of it now taking effect here in our 3rd dimensional linear perspective of reality. But again, from our 3rd dimensional perspective, we wait 1,000 years, but because time is an illusion, as we go into the 5th dimensional Earth, it's probably going to be shorter than that. And then the last part of your question is, that long to become mighty Jedis? Yes, it gives us an opportunity to train in the ways of the old Jedis, of the old, you know, the ancient organization of the universal, cosmic, intergalactic, whatever you want to call it, guys. Thank you. Is it Liano God? Thank you for the donation. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's see. All right, so let's continue with answering just random questions. Okay, so this is a question from Grant Wilson. Thank you for being here, Grant. Your question is, has Trump and team in this temporary war gone back to retrieve the real history records destroyed, deleted, and altered by the Council of Nicaea. I do believe that part of the disclosure, all right, so the disclosure is not just about exposing, pedophile island and the underground dumps and what's been going on, right? The poisoning of our foods, chemtrails, whatever. I believe that the disclosure is about restoring true history back to the earth. So yes, due to time travel, right, that has been done by the good guys, I do believe that they were able to time travel back to the Library of Alexandria before it was destroyed by the reorganization of the Roman people, the Roman Empire, to gather the true information about the true history of our world. All right, but my book is an example. My book is just the beginning of that. For those that have read my book, but there is so much history, guys. There is so much hidden history that is about to be disclosed when all this is, unfolded. I just lost my little cursor again. 1 second, guys. All right, so we do have a question from... All right, so the next question I want to answer, I'm just looking randomly, I'm just picking random questions. From Linda Hassey. How you doing, Linda Hassey? Thank you for being here, sister. Your question is, when the solar flash happens, will my son and I be shocked when we wake up and I am age 30 again, or will it feel natural to us? I don't know if it's going to be much of a shock. I think it's going to be more of a remembering, more of a being restored, more of a coming to understand who we really were and what we really are. It's just going to be a remembering of things, guys. Okay? And remember, the fact of incarnating on different timelines or in different points of space and time is all happening at once. So when we wake up or when we enter into the fifth dimension, we're going to be reintegrating with versions of ourselves that do exist on on different timelines, which is going to allow us to have access to all these memories. Like I mentioned before, I believe that the Akashic records are stored within our genetics. They're all there, guys. The Akashic records for the entire universe. In fact, let me rephrase that. The Akashic records for the entire multiverse. Because after all, we have all the multi-universal history within our genes. Okay? Thank you. Thank you, Lynn P., for the donation and for the flying cartoon character. Thank you, thank you. All right, so Earth Angel 444 has a question, and thank you so much, sister, for your generous donation. Your question is, you're just thanking me for all I do, or your information you provide. You're a phenomenal galactic commander. Thank you, guys. As a reminder, each and every single one of you guys is a phenomenal galactic commander. I'm just here to remind you guys of our mission, guys, and the purpose as to why we're here on Earth. And the more I study, the more I ponder, the more I come to the conclusion that we do come from the future, guys. We come from the future to alternate the AI timeline in order to fix it, all right? And to make sure that the organic way of life becomes permanent all throughout the multiverse. All right, so Mary, you say you wish your partner will accept this. He believes the Bible is legit and never changed, saying it's God's word and that wouldn't be allowed. All right, well, eventually when all this information is disclosed to the general public, they're all going to know the truth that all the Bible is a reconstruction of the ancient epic of Gilgamesh, the ancient Sumerian tablets of the Enuma Elish, which is the book of creation, right? That's all that's all in the book of Genesis. All that stuff was taken from the ancient from earlier records. So when people find the truth, when people are able to know all this, that's when a mass awakening is going to take place. And they are going to be disappointing, knowing that the gods of the Bible, or the God of the Bible, is no other than Marduk, Belial, Baal, the son of Enki, Poseidon. That they've been worshiping, the reptilian leader of the Cabal this whole time, masquerading as the God of Jehovah, or the God of the Most High. All right, so the next question, I'm just reading random questions, guys. All right, so we do have a question from Marilyn. Marilyn Sinquin. I don't mean to butcher your last name, but again, let me try to Marilyn Sinquimani. Sinquimani. I hope I pronounced it right. Thank you for the donation, sister. I am reading your book for the second time. It's so amazing. Thank you for everything you do. Oh, you're welcome, Marilyn. I'm so glad that the information in my book resonates with you. Thank you. Thank you. Just to let you guys know, okay, so I did read a Radiant Guardian's remark here that says that was one of the reasons for the floods. Guys, there's been multiple floods, all right? Atlantis, the Pyramidal War, the war between Set and Horus, right? In the battle for Egypt, when Set destroyed the underground pyramids that held the 13-mile-long firmament, which was water in the sky. That was the true firmament, by the way, which was destroyed by Set, causing the flood. And then, of course, later, the flood that was done by the good Anunnaki, Enlil, in order to destroy all the abominations, and with the exception, of course, of the line of Noah, which is, where we come from, the original human design. My God, all these super chats. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the best. All right, so let me read the next two, and then I'll go on with the random questions. Come on, cursor, where are you at? Bear with me, guys. I'm trying to find my little arrow here. Oh, there we go. Found it. All right, so this is a question from Trenton Williams. Thank you for the donation, brother, and for the number 5. I live about an hour away from the supervolcano known as Yellowstone. According to physicist Dr. Richard Allen Miller, something could trigger it and go off soon. Will the galactic stop it? Absolutely, guys. And remember, guys, the Earth changes, the cataclysms that, they talk about, they're only taking place in the 3-dimensional Earth, not in the 4th or 5th, not in the Terra Earth. So as we shift into the new Earth, the Terra Earth, which is already here, it's always been here, all right? We've just been kind of blinded from the real reality. So as we go into the Terra Earth, nothing's going to happen, all right? Nothing of that matter is going to happen. There's going to be no catastrophe, no calamities. So we don't have nothing to worry about. And yes, Trenton, the Galactics are on it, The Galactics are making sure that we do have a smooth transition into the Terra Earth. Okay, so the next question is from Only Love 144. Thank you so much for the donation. And your question is, oh, you're thanking me for all my incredible information. Thank you, guys. Thank you as well for being here. Now your question is, can you please talk about our pets and how that will look in 5D? All right, so even our pets are graduating, guys. They're going into 5D. But in 5D, our animals, our pets are going to be communicating with us. We're going to have hours of conversations with our pets, with trees, with plants, with the elements. Because they're also conscious and they also have souls, right? And will there be, will they also be in the same form as they are now? Yes, they are, except they're going to be more so intelligently. They're going to be highly intelligent pets, you could say. All right, so the next super chat is Absinthe Fairy. Absinthe Fairy. How you doing? Thank you for being here. Thank you for the generous donation. And your question is, you feel a connection to Michael? I think a lot of us do, guys. We all come from Michael's oversoul. Every single one of you guys here. Whether you know it or not, we're all part of Michael's team. We're Michael's ground crew on the earth. And your next question is, how do I know we have a past, present, and future in battle together? We do, guys, because all time is taking place simultaneously. All right? So, yes, we were the ones that, started the war to protect the gates of eternity from the AI, which is the Ahriman, right? The original fall. We were the ones that were part of the electrical wars in order to safeguard the 15-dimensional time matrix and the original Orifeme. We were the ones that were involved in the protection of our galaxy and other galaxies during the intergalactic wars. It's always been us, guys. We just don't have memory of that. But in time, all that memory, all those recollections are coming back. And then the last part of your question is, I know it happens when I wake exhausted and even bruised without explanation. Yes, and that explains why when our bodies go to sleep at night, we're still involved in these interdimensional warfares, right? In the astral, where you are less limited and more powerful, where you could teleport, where you could fly, where you could perform, things like moving objects with your mind. You're like a Jedi. In our dreams, guys, we're like warriors. We slay, demons, archons, you name it. We constantly are at war. All right, so this is a question from Only Love. Oh, no, I've already answered that. Sorry, let me go on to the next. All right, so at the end of this live, we're going to do a meditation to ease the situation in what's happening in Israel, guys. This little cursor. All right, where are you at, little mouse? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I feel like I'm playing hide and seek with my little cursor here. All right, so we do have a question from... All right, so we have a question from Scott. Wayne adds OMG. Thank you so much for the donation, brother, and for the #1. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. And your question is, hi, Ishmael. You are totally awesome. So brave. Your info helps me so much. You are so welcome, Scott. I have a question. What happens to starseeds in the Ascension who are addicts and have entity attachments overwhelming them? That's a very, very tricky question, but I guess the best answer is perhaps you were part of the off-world programs. Perhaps you were you were abducted by, the military-industrial complex. You were a MyLab experiment. I'm not sure. If you're a starseed and you have attachments, or you are, if you feel like you have addictions or attachments, it's probably because you are a super soldier. And the fact that they blank slated you and erased all your memories makes you kind of depressed, and it makes you want to just numb your pain, because you know that you're being blank slated. You know that something has completely erased from your memories. So how do you do it? Is you use alcohol and drugs to kind of numb that intuitive feeling. That is the best way to describe that. The best way to do it, guys, is to let go of your addictions. As hard as it seems, try to exercise. Try to replace one habit with a different habit that is more positive. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a very tough one. And my heart goes out to everyone who has addictions or who has entity attachments. Perhaps, you're being mind controlled. I don't know. I'm just throwing, answers out there, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Ricky Lee, thank you so much for the donation, brother. And your question is, brother, can you talk about how our DNA was created and modified, and by who? Okay, so going back to 560 million years ago, our DNA was created by the Syrians and the Lyrians, all right? Back then, the original human was known as the Ozurites, all right? But then some of the Ozurites rebelled. They rebelled against the Emerald Order. They rebelled against Christ consciousness, right? And that explains the races, the fallen races that are coming back to mess with us today. So the original DNA was a compilation of 12 different races that represented 12 different universes. Okay, so we're part of the 12th creation. Contrary to what some of the people are saying, that we're part of that there are 22, 24 races. No, that's not true. The original human was made by 12 races, each representing one of 12 creations. That's what makes us unique. However, throughout cosmic history, there has been many attempts by the fallen ones, all right, to tweak our genetic, to modify the pure angelic 12-strand DNA. So that's why they had to remake the original human, and that's why they created the Oraphim, which took place on a fifth dimensional Earth 560 million years ago. See, the original Earthling goes back to the Ozurites in the 12th dimensional Earth Aramatena, which is harmonic universe number 4. But there was a rebellion against the original human, which explains the fallen angels. All right, so now we're part of the second experiment. All right, but then later, through the negative Anunnaki, like Enki, our genetics were also further digressed from the original angelic human, right, into a lower species. And that explains why gradually our lifespan has been decreasing and decreasing from what used to be immortality. So our original ancestors were immortal, guys, and that's a proven fact. So we've been genetically downgraded and modified by many different groups, and the last of them were the negative Anunnaki that were led by the master geneticist himself, Enki Poseidon. All right, so here is another question from Grant Wilson. Thank you for the donation, Grant Wilson. And you have a question. Should we concentrate our prayers and meditation outwards for the ascension? Not necessarily, because it's an inside job, guys, okay? The ascension is the result of enough of us collapsing the polarity duality within ourselves. Once enough of us reach that 0 point neutrality, right, bringing it back to 0 point, then it happens on a collective. And then the second part of your question is, for the ascension to power up our DNA. Again, guys, ascension is an inward journey. All right. And then the next question is from Absinthe Fairy. Thank you for the donation. And your question was, or is. Was DNA developed from light? Well, that's what DNA is. It's light. It's light encoded libraries of information coded within each gene, which is scientifically proven. Our DNA has the ability to store light energy vibration, guys. And that's where it comes from. Originally, it is a modification from the atom Catman, which is the light body. All right, so in our original form, we were light beings. And then gradually, we started to condense further and further until we started manifesting in physical form. So everything comes from light. Even matter is light vibrating at its most congealed level of reality. Joyful, thank you so much for the donation, sister. And your question is, hi Ishmael, so if this Israel war will not initiate the EBS, what situation will? Taking so long. Again, Joyful, this is another attempt by the Cabal to start the Third World War, but it's not going to happen because the Galactics will not allow it, okay? They will not allow it. All right, so about 10 more minutes of answering questions, and then we're going to do our collective meditation so that we could soothe the scenario in Israel. And also bring a healing to all those people that were affected this past Saturday when the bombings took place. All these innocent souls. American NDN, thank you for the donation, sister. Okay, so now I'm just looking for random questions. I love your chat, guys. You guys are awesome. You guys are very wise. No, today's not laundry day. Today is work day. Tomorrow will be laundry day. Yes, as Sam Griffin says, we went forward to come backwards to correct and go forward. Absolutely. And I mentioned this before, guys. The higher we go up in dimensions, the more we are into the future. So let's just give you an example. The Pleiades are fifth dimensional versions of us. Okay, so they are us in the future, 1,000 years from now, 2,000 years from now. All right, after the Pleiadians, let's go to the Sirians. The Sirians are in the sixth dimension. So they are us in the future in the sixth dimension. The Arcturians are us in the future in the seventh dimension. The Andromedans are us in the future in the eighth dimension. Who else? The Syrians. The Syrians are us in the future in the 11th dimension. And of course, the Lyrans are us in the future in the 10, 11, and 12th dimensions. So it's all interconnected, guys. These advanced civilizations, these extraterrestrial races are not separate from us. They are intricately connected to us. We are just their past, and they are our future. They are us, and we are them. We're all one and the same. I hope that makes perfect sense. We do live in a holistic, holographic existence, guys. All right, so we have Joyful. Oh no, I've already answered that. All right, so just answering random questions. Thank you. We have over 698 people watching. Wow, that's amazing. You guys are the best. Don't forget to stick around for the meditation, guys, so that we could send love, positive energy to all those people that were affected in Israel in the last 2 days. Yes, as you guys know, I'm trying to find my little cursor. Keeps happening. Come on. Where? Oh, there you are. All right. Let's see. You told the moon off today because it ain't natural, says Mariana. That's funny. Let's see. So yes, the Earth was the starting point of all creation within our universe, says Kellyanne S. So your question is, what if, in the case, the Earth was the starting point for all these other races, and so many returning now? Could it have to do with the destiny of humanity to return to the Galactic Council? Absolutely. You nailed it. Kellyanne, you just nailed it. See, you guys are intelligent. You guys understand this. You guys are resonating with this because it's true. It is so freaking truth, you know? Earth is the starting point of all civilizations in our cosmos, guys. From the 12th dimensional Aramatena version of the Earth. That's where it all began. Unfortunately, the Earth, just like ourselves, has been going, undergoing drops in frequencies and scales and lower densities. Let's see, more questions. All right, so this is a question from American Andian. Will the fifth dimensional people remember ones who stayed in the third dimensional Earth? Yes. In the fifth dimension, guys, we're going to have full recollection of everything and beyond. Okay? Thank you, Brandy. She says, Ishmael, I really think you're onto something here. Again, guys, I'm just tapping into the universal, intelligent field, the field of intelligence that many correlate with the Akashic records. Just as you guys have access to that, we all have access to that. I do as well. So that's what I've been thinking lately. Okay, so Topaz has a question. Ishmael, does insomnia interfere with light warriors' duties? Or is insomnia because of light work? I would say if you are having a hard time sleeping, the best thing to do is I would probably quiet your mind, take some melatonin. Melatonin really helps you sleep at night, and there's nothing wrong with taking melatonin. So that's my answer to you. If you are having insomnia and you can't sleep during the night, I would probably take some melatonin that will help you sleep. Maybe 5 milligrams or 10 at the most. Hey, sometimes when I can't sleep, guys, I take melatonin, all right? I'm not going to lie. Oh, Colleen Cuddington, did I miss your super chat? I'm so sorry, sister. Let me look for it. Colleen, I don't know where your super chat is. Oh, God, let me see if I can find it. All right, so Sylvia Vidal. Sylvia Vidal, thank you for the donation, sister, and your question. And what does it mean when you see a rainbow? When you see a rainbow, it is just the reflection of light going through water, right? If it's like raining. I don't know if there's any significance to that other than a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's a very good question. I really don't know, Sylvia. All I know is that in terms of physics, it is the light like a like a prism of light, light going through the rain, the water reflecting the 7 colors. And there's a scientific explanation to that. All right, so Monkey16 has a question. Ishmael, can you please explain what is the 0-point neutrality? All right, so the best way to explain that is the 0-point neutrality is equivalent to the Force in Star Wars, the unified field. It doesn't know good or evil, it just responds to whatever. So the 0-point neutrality is also the place in which everything originates and everything collapses back into. In other words, it is the singularity. It is the state of existence that has no duality, no polarity. It's just pure bliss. That's the best way to describe it. That's where everything comes from, guys. Everything comes from that state of neutrality where there is no polarity. And everything will return to that state of duality. I mean, of singularity or neutrality. And then in time, of course, there will be another out-breath of God and another realm where we exist or experience duality. And then, of course, it goes back to the one. So it's a infinite cycle of out-breath, experience, duality, diversity, and in-breath, collapsing it back into singularity. Out-breath, existing in duality, diversity, and in-breath. And in turn, that allows the cosmic consciousness of the omniverse to expand one outer space level at a time. And so it's, we're dealing with infinity here, guys. Definitely. All right, are you guys ready to meditate? Or should I answer one more question? All right, so I'm looking for questions that I missed. I think one of the super chats was Colleen. Colleen, I can't find your super chat, my sister. Let's see if I could find it. All right, so at this point, let's do our meditation, guys. Yeah, I can't find the other super chat. Sorry, Colleen. Do you want to retype it and I'll answer it? No question. All right. All right, so Mary Jean G says, I think he ignores my questions because I have never had a question answered. Mary Jean, pop your question in the chat. I'm going to answer your question. I don't ignore questions. I just answer random questions, guys. All right, so don't take nothing personal. I'm just going through the chat, trying to answer just random questions. And of course, I do have to answer the super chats because those are people donating. So I can't miss those. So Mary Jean G. How you doing, Mary Jean G? I hope you're doing good today, sister. What is your question? I'm here for you. I'm going to answer the last question from Mary Jean G. And your question is, Wolfman, glad to know I am not the only one. Okay, so you're responding to Wolfman. Mary Jean G, do you have a question for me before we go into our meditation? I'm just waiting for you to type it in. All right, Trina, you said you had a super chat too. I don't see any super chats, guys. They're not there. Again, guys, I don't know if it's the computer or the technology, but there are certain super chats that are just not popping up. I apologize for that, guys. It's out of my control. This computer has a mind of its own. The last super chat I got was from MSM Thai 555. And yeah, and that was about the, the white hats and the gray hats that were perhaps infiltrated. That's the last super chat I got. That is showing on my end. So do we have a question from Mary? Mary Jean G? No, no question? Okay. All right, so let's move on to our meditation. Let's see. All right, so this Friday, guys, I'm going to be announcing the states and the times and the places where I'm going to be from the 14th of October to the 6th of December. All right, so I can't find your question, Mary Jean. All right, so with that have said, let's go on and meditate. All right. So let's sit in a comfortable position at this time, guys. And let's clear our heads with some deep breathing. As we inhale through our nose again, and exhale through our mouth. And let's do it a few times. Inhale through our nose, and exhale through our mouth. Inhaling through our nose, and exhaling through our mouth. Through the collective power of our I Am mighty presence, all 700 of us at this time, we ask for peace and harmony to permeate the lands of Israel in the relationship with the Palestinians. We use our collective energy and we direct it to the people in the Middle East to lessen the agitation and to create some sort of a peace treaty. We also extend our collective energy to everyone on planet Earth that is undergoing stress, suffering, and challenges, including the galactic Jedis on this chat who might be undergoing a dark night of the soul or depression. We ask for an upliftment and healing at this time. Now, let's envision and let's envision and feel peace happening in the Middle East at this time, especially in Israel, guys. Let's all imagine what it's like and feel what it's like to have peace in Israel, reducing and lessening the tensions. We call upon our angels, our ancestors, our higher self, and most importantly, Prime Creator Source, Father, Mother, God, first center of all, and cause of all that is, to intervene at this time and counteract any possible negative scenario that could be unfolding. We insert at this time into the collective mind of humanity the principles and concepts of brotherhood and sisterhood, harmony, balance, cooperativeness. We insert principles of justice, equality, and freedom. We have the power to insert a new collective construct for all of humanity. as future caretakers and guardians of Earth, we exercise our authority at this time to insert a positive outcome throughout planet Earth. One that will allow mankind to recognize the interconnectedness of all life, all species, nature, everything as we know it as one. We no longer tolerate the religious pockets, the religious organizations, the corruption, and the secret societies. May it all come to light. And we ask for a collective awakening of those that are still asleep or that are heavenly programmed. May you snap out of your hypnosis and come into the knowledge of your own power and sovereign as a multi-dimensional being of light. We invoke this upon all of humanity at this time. May the cosmic rays of the living light surround us. Now let us all envision a beautiful earth with luscious green forests, blue skies, and people of all walks of life living in harmony as one brotherhood and sisterhood of mankind. And so be it, and so be it. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this Monday Night Live. We will see you guys Wednesday evening, perhaps at the same time. All right? All right, guys. May you guys have a wonderful evening, and may the God Force be with you all, always.